30 minutes of power.
I have a question for you. How long have you been sitting on your book idea? If you're tired of thinking about it and ready to actually make progress, join me the last Sunday of every month for my live writing masterclass. Now, this isn't just another class. It's an interactive space where you finally gain some clarity on your book, help you break through some mindsets that are blocking you, and get the roadmap to actually start writing. And as a bonus, when you register, you'll get a free 20-minute coaching session with me. Spots are limited. Don't wait. Click the link in the show notes or scan the QR code to sign up. Let's get your book out of your head and onto the page. I'll see you there. Welcome back to another lovely episode of 30 Minutes of Power, TOP, your one-stop shop for all things encouraging, entertaining, and motivating. It's your girl here, Jori O'Neale, people. You know what it is. This is a place where purpose meets passion and where real people share how they're walking in divine power every single day. So we're only 30 minutes away from your first breakthrough. But first, let me introduce to you my guest for today. People, I have a guest who's been believing and she's been walking proof of what happens when curiosity meets actual calling. Cassian Bellino is the brilliant host of Biblically Speaking, a podcast and platform that is transforming how people understand the Bible. So what started as a personal frustration of hers has now turned into a global movement with over, okay, I need you to pause for dramatic effect, people, 60,000 followers. Cassian, welcome to the show. What's up, girl?
Jori, I am so stoked to be here. This is going to be so much fun. And what an intro. Like, this is going to be great. Thank you so much for having me on.
I love that. Okay, so we're going to start at the beginning.
Yes.
Right. So you've been really open about struggling to understand the Bible on your own platform for years. So what is this specific season like for you spiritually?
Oh my gosh, right now it's bad. It's not good. Like walking with Christ is like not easy. And I feel once you start taking your faith seriously, the enemy gets really creative. And at first, back in the day, I would say like a year ago, wake up, immediate thoughts of you're worthless. Immediate thoughts, like first thought when I woke up, and I literally would be like, God, come on, like tap in. This is horrible. Because I knew it was the enemy just trying to discourage me. And then I went through this very recent period of lust, and that was so hard because it was like it brought up trauma, it brought up these issues I thought I dealt with and I hadn't. So I had to like set boundaries that I didn't want to set, but I had to because I was feeling convicted in like knowing God versus obeying him. And I was like, I got to obey him, not just know him, because my whole thing is knowing him. But this is where the rubber meets the road. And so now I feel like my spiritual walk is like fighting off like lack of clarity. Like I'm a very creative person. And I just feel like I feel like the enemy is just like blurring my creativity. He's making me really jaded. He's making me really overwhelmed and busy and exhausted. So I'm just like consistently like, oh, pray for creativity, like pray for the block to be removed. And it's just wonderful when like God shows up and just like, oh, handing over everything to him. Like, oh, can this conversation go well? Can we have more intimacy? And then it happens and it's amazing. So yeah, it's like whiplash, if I'm going to be honest.
Listen, I know firsthand so many people can relate to you right now. But just saying, what changed? Because you said something that was pretty like, I don't know if anyone else caught it. You said that a year ago, right? You were waking up to attacks, right? Attacking your identity. But before that, you said there's a difference between knowing, right? The knowing, and then actually like the rubber meeting the road in terms of being and doing and have an intimate relationship. Like what can you tell me, like what changed for you in that? Because this is something I feel like you do really well. Like you break this down very well on your platform. And so I kind of want my listeners to get a taste so they know like, hey, I want to go follow that lady. Like can you like share with me like what was the transition and the shift that occurred from the knowing to like, no, like Christ is real and I want to have a relationship with him?
That's a great question. I think it is a little Hollywood-esque to portray our faith with our walk with God as like a moment and then it all changed. It's like God moves. He's the gentle voice in the wind. He moves so slowly. And one day you wake up and you don't want to go to bars anymore. It wasn't a moment that like something hit you and you're like, you're right. I hate having sex before marriage. It's like you slowly are like, I'm disgusted with behavior that doesn't honor God. I am disgusted with making decisions that pull me away from God. Yes, sex is still great, but like for me, it's like I have to choose, and choosing a choice that aligns with like safety. Like if I'm going to be honest, like making decisions recently have shifted from, oh, I need to give this up, like sex. I have to give this up because I have to, you know what? The idea of being outside of God's grace and protection and blessing is terrifying. So while I would love to keep sinning, I am actually way more afraid of what it would be like to not be blessed and protected by God. So the fear of God is actually what's compelling me. And I think knowing what God is capable of, maybe that's just like the realization that slowly came in of like when I was waking up with a lot of like insecurities and unworthiness and like this lack of encouragement from the enemy. I feel like I was still kind of in this state of like, yeah, I'm hungry and like what's going on? I still don't know, but we're here to figure it out. And I wouldn't say at all I'm like close to figuring it all out, but knowing what I know now, um, you just kind of realize that it's so much more than obedience. It's being called into like a higher walk. It's being called into something that is different than the reality that we think that we're experiencing, and that there is a very real unseen realm and unseen war that's taking place. And so I think that you slowly just understand that like I'm not doing this out of compulsion. I'm doing this because there is something so much bigger than myself going on. And as I read more about this God that has this ability to love me and plan for me and show up for me in the ways that he has within the Bible, like the transfiguration. I could like go on and on about that now. It's like this is like my needs don't matter, but like obeying him is way more important. I hope that was clear.
No, I
I-
love that because I it is absolutely refreshing, honestly. There are a lot of people who come on the platform, and as I'm sure probably some people ask to come on your platform as well, and there's this watered down almost version of Christianity that they're portraying, where you don't see the power of Christ living fully within themselves, right? They're not in touch with it. They don't know about it. So how in the world can they share it with others, right? And so how did you go from the initial state of confusion to conversations with scholars? How did that happen?
Oh, God dragged me into it, girl. I did not want to do it. I did not want to do it. I love my sin. It was so much fun. I think you just have to be honest. Like, I think at the end of the day, watered down Christianity, maybe they're afraid to be bold. Maybe they just genuinely don't know and they're pretending they do. Who knows? But I think, like, at the end of the day, we have to admit what we don't know. And I think I just kind of hit a wall where I'm like, okay, my whole family's on fire for Christ. That seems like a great idea. Why am I not on fire for Christ? I was raised in the church. Like I had a good life. Well, maybe objectively, God, if you are truly the best thing that I could ever do in my life, can you just show me that? Like objectively show me how cool Jesus is, and then I'll decide for myself if he's worth following. Not because I'm supposed to, not because I was raised in the faith, but like show me. Like how cool are you? And so I was just like, okay, sure, it probably exists. There's probably a podcast. And that was 5 years of looking. Every YouTube video was too academic. Every Bible study was too emotional. Podcasts were like too watered down, as you could say. And then I remember just kind of one day, my sister Maggie, she's just like such an accountability person. And she's like, well, maybe you haven't found it because like you're supposed to create it. And I was like, absolutely not. Do you know what I did last weekend? Like, I know what the Christians will say of like, that's who's representing us. And so I just like kicked and screamed with God for like 6 months. And I was like, no, God, like, I don't want my friends to know I'm that Christian. Like, it would, God, I don't even have anybody to interview. God, I don't even know how to create a podcast. Like, I am in marketing, I make PowerPoints for a living. And it was like every single one he showed up and brought me into a conversation with somebody who was like, oh, it's super easy. You just do this. And oh, yeah, you can talk to my friend. And oh, yeah, here's this. And like just solved all of it. And then I was like, okay, God, but then I might fail. And that's humiliating. And this girl that I was talking to, she was like, listen, if you failed, that means nobody heard you. That means nobody listened. So maybe God just wants to hang out with you, obey him. Like at this point, it's a command. I was talking to a pastor and he's like, this isn't even like an option. You have to do this to obey God. And I was like, why would you say that? So then I did it and I was like, you're right. If I fail, no one knows. And then it didn't fail. And so at this point, I feel like it's really like, and I wish more pastors were honest about this because I'm sure they feel this way. It's like, God, and I'm sure there's like recordings of me saying this a year ago of like, I'm cool if it ends. I'm so cool if God takes this away. But I'm glad he hasn't, because it has brought me so deep into faith, but it's exhausting. Like this accountability to like, gosh, God's really trying to change me. I was so comfortable being the shitty person that I was before. Gosh, if he could just stop this so I could like have an excuse to being bad again. But God has like chained me into this, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm so glad because it's improved every aspect of my life. But it is tired. Like it's so hard. It's so hard to find people and do the work aside from a 9 to 5. And like I went through this period of like, all right, God, this is the moneymaker, right? I'm an influencer, right? Like I got all these followers, and then like did not bless me with money. And I just had to be like, I have to do this not for the money, because he knows that if there was money involved, I would not care about him anymore. I would only care about the money. Like he knows me so well. So I'm not making any money from this. Like I think people I hope one day, like God God knows the desires of my heart. But yeah, I think just talking to scholars was like God put me in a room and locked the door behind him, and he left, and he was like, this is where you're supposed to be now. So we're here, and I'm
Listen,
so grateful for it.
oh my gosh. If anyone is listening to this lady right now, if you ever felt like the Bible isn't for me, please hear this. Please hear this now. She's living proof. You don't need all the answers. You just need some guidance. You need guidance, some good guides. So let's talk about your podcast. Because you didn't just stop with the podcast. You built a whole community. So you have Biblically Speaking, and now you have Biblically Heard. Tell me more about that.
So Biblically Heard was a project that I started about a year ago. It was just a way, because I had this long-term vision of what Biblically Speaking can become, and it's evolved quite a bit since like I talked about it initially. But I really just wanted, because I used to go to AA in college because I got in trouble with the law, and my defense, what was a public defender, was like, just go to AA like as much as possible. And so I went every day for a month. And then at my court date, they were like, you're good. Like, I cannot believe that you did that. But I learned so much going to AA, and the simple aspect of having a sponsor that you could just call. And I feel like in college, they try to create the sponsor mentor type of relationship, but you're kind of guided by people who use guilt and shame because they don't know how else to lead you. They're like, well, you shouldn't do that because that's what God said. And you're like, well, that doesn't help me at all because I want to have sex with my boyfriend and I want to drink and do drugs. So like meet me there. And I wish I would have had like almost like a vetted Christian that would have been like, yeah, I totally understand that. Like you are not a bad person for wanting that, but let me show you something better that you could want. And so I had this vision of what Biblically Speaking could be, and I wanted this community of Christians that could pour into Christians that were me 5 years ago that just wanted answers. Somebody that could be like, I used to be in your shoes. Let me just like take you for a walk. I'm not here to, cash in commissions of people at the altar call. Like that's not my goal here. It's just to like hear you and guide you. And so it started off as an online community. That didn't really work. It was like way more work than it needed to be. So now it's just a WhatsApp group, and anybody can join. It's not closed, it's not paid. You can join it, and it really is just like this. I have like I barely talk in it. People have evolved into leaders within the group of like giving their prayer requests and talking about what they need and supporting one another. And on Sundays, we try to do 15 minutes of prayer just for like the community and like the podcast, because we got to pray over this. Like I'm so susceptible to the attacks. But the long-term vision here is to create something that like pairs people up and gives them what I needed back in 2018, I guess, yeah, 7 years ago, when this all started, like when that idea first hit me. And I was like, all I want is like a smart person explaining the Bible and a funny person making it funny to listen to. Like that was the vision from the beginning. And so like what does that girl who came up with that idea, she needs someone she can call. So hopefully Biblically Speaking and Biblically Heard evolves into that.
Wow. Okay. So many thoughts I had. So uh, part of my background that I usually don't talk about on here is that my father is a recovered drug addict and alcoholic, and he actually came to know the Lord in AA.
Whoa.
Right. And so he's been clean for 23 years. Glory to God. And part of that sobriety has put him on fire for Jesus, where this man is, if you see some strange guy just out preaching about Jesus, going into random spaces, I mean, even like the subway tunnels, like he's like, God went through such great lengths to find me. Why shouldn't I go through the same to go find someone else? Right. And so,
Oh,
like, it seems like you're trying to create that in like this virtual space
yeah.
where I may not have maybe humans in my sphere, right, to learn from. And I would call it more like a discipling partner, right, or accountability partner. When you think about Jesus's ministry, he didn't start out by like putting out resumes. He called people to follow him. And through that following, they came more and more to know him, to this deep intimacy, to the point where now he's given me so many downloads that I can go and pass this on to someone else. And I think honestly, for me, like that is the part that's missing in a lot of church congregations, this space of relationship where I'm learning from my elders how to walk with Jesus. Like I'm seeing it in real time so that I get enough downloads that I can now pass this on to someone else, right? So each one teach one, right? This whole progressive ideology of community, right? It's all biblical, but again, I sometimes feel like people truncate the Bible in such a way where we take out these bits and pieces and we take out these bits and pieces. But okay, give me the entire story, because the entire story of God is all about relationship. It's all
Yes.
about us reaching out for him and him in turn reaching out for us. And the
Yes.
cyclical thing continues to happen over and over again. And when we remove this cycle, that's when things become broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sorry, I didn't want to go off on a tangent, but you sparked
No,
something. So I wanted
go off.
to go there.
Like we said, spirit is moving.
Hey, yeah, listen, I told you, I told you.
I think like there is a superpower in just admitting, like I think I'm surprised because part of this like whole thing was I get to admit how I don't know my faith that I gave my life to. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm very confused. And I'm also the worst human being to be leading this conversation, but I'm going to do it anyways. I think a lot of people are in that boat. And I think being raised in the church, you look at pastors and you're like, has never sinned, knows exactly what he's talking about, has no insecurities, because that's kind of what makes them a leader. I mean, that makes sense that we should see them that way. But at the end of the day, like we're all really struggling and we're all really confused and we all need Jesus. And as soon as we admit that, we're like, okay, great. Now we know where to begin. Versus like assuming that there's nothing wrong. It's like, I'm glad to lay out my sins. I'm like, relieve me of them. I would love to confess them to you because like that is where we build intimacy and vulnerability and honesty and actually have something to work with when it comes to growing and supporting and loving one another.
And so I want to add to that, right? We should also all be going out and making disciples. Like it should not be left up to the church. It should not be left up to these specific people in these these leadership roles. Like you have the Spirit of Christ, I have the Spirit of Christ. We've been all called to go out into all the world and make disciples of all nations, of all people, baptizing
How do
them.
you make disciples? Like what's your angle?
My angle, I walk with people. I show them my life, the good, the bad, the ugly, in between, indifferent. I pray with them. I share scriptures with them. And then once the Lord convicts them, if this is something that they want to get into, they make it happen. Captain, you know what I'm saying? In the waters of baptism, and then that's it. Like I, I keep it simple, keep it to the Bible, right? There are tons of women that I've honestly helped walk through this whole journey of dark to light, right? And so I don't really have like an angle. I don't get paid. Like I don't work at a church, but I have the Spirit just like you have the Spirit, just like a lot
Of
of us
course.
have the Spirit. And I think if we don't take that role seriously, right? Like there's so many more people who would have not heard the message. Like you might not see it as such, but you've created this amazing ministry. And you might not call yourself a preacher or a pastor or whatever, but you don't have to, because honestly, it's all of our responsibility. It's not just right. These
Yeah.
people who go to school and these theologians, like everyone is responsible for helping someone else know about God. Everyone.
1,000%. And maybe angle was the wrong word. I meant like, what's your approach? Like my approach is always just like, um, talking about it and making people jealous about their faith because that's what a rabbi told me. Like that's what a rabbi told me. He's like, our job as Christians is to make Jews look at us and say, I'm envious of that relationship you have with God. I want that. And then to bring them into the Christian faith. He's like, that's our job. And so I feel like that's my approach. And you're able to like quote scripture and gospel and talk with them. I can't do that. That's like not my thing at all. I'd rather just be like, look how cool Noah is and Jonah is. And I talk about that to all my new age friends, and they're like, oh, that is like pretty cool. And I'm like, yeah, you should come to church. And I get all spazzy about it, but that's my approach. And I think that God surrounded me with agnostic and atheistic friends like my entire life. So when this did happen and I was like, hey guys, I love Jesus. How was my day? I learned about Jonah. And they're like, they love me, so they let me talk about it. But now they're hearing about the story of Jonah. And now they're getting that experience that maybe they would have never gotten. And I even had a friend DM me once and he was like, you're the most Christian friend I know, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, this is why. This is why. And I agree. I don't think I'm a prophet. I don't think I'm a preacher. I do not see that. I just see someone like including everybody in of like I'm like the messenger between the people that studied for years and the people that have 5 minutes on their way to work. And I'm just trying to simplify it. But I saw on Spotify that like I'm listened to in 120 countries, and I just like bawled my eyes out on my couch. I was like, I cannot. Like I couldn't fathom my dad listening. Like will my mom and dad listen? And like somebody in countries I can't pronounce are listening.
But so even that, right? And so I don't want to stay here. I don't want to plant a flag here and stay here too long. But we need more Cassians. We need more people who are willing to be open and honest about their walk, good, bad, ugly, indifferent. I don't care if I don't like you. I don't care if you don't look like me. I don't care. All I know is Jesus is Lord. Christ is everything. I am nothing, and I'm so grateful that I get to have a relationship with him and that he wants to have one back with me. Now, if this is something that interests you, come on, let's talk about it. Let's check it out, right? And so I am always relationship over religion, every day, all day, right? And so I need you to like just receive that the platform that you've built with God is a ministry, and it is a movement, and it's such a beautiful thing in the body of Christ. It is such a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
So rarely do I come on my podcast and then talk the whole time about somebody else's podcast. Like I said, when the Spirit moves, I'm working on being a very obedient vessel. That's the goal. That's my angle. My angle is to give honor where honor is due. And in my book, which is the Bible,
I was like, oh, author queen.
you hold weight. You hold weight next to any theologian that's ever come on your platform.
Stop! Don't say that. I'll cry.
You're not studying a dead entity. You are walking with a living God, and you're making him accessible. You are a prophet. You are a prophet, because literally that is what the prophets did. God was here in all his magnificence, and they were the mouthpiece for him so that the average ordinary person could understand what to do, what not to do, and occasionally, like Ezekiel, how you blow it. This is where you're stuck at, right? Like, so I want you to maybe reframe when you look in the mirror in the morning. You say, thank you, God, for calling me into all the nations, literally all the nations, all 120 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for calling me into all the nations to be your mouthpiece, to be your vessel. I am so humbled. I'm so grateful. I'm so unworthy, but you saw fit to allow me to do it. And I'm super grateful. And I'm super excited. I can't wait who else I get to impact today. Like that is how every day should start.
Thank you for pouring into me. I mean, thank you. I received that. I'm going to hold that all day. That's going to change my life slowly. It'll slowly seep in. But like, how great is the God that we serve that could use someone as horrible as me to do that? Like God looked at me and was like, that girl having sex and doing drugs and drinking, her. And that's the God we serve. That he like did not hold that against me.
Listen, we don't have time to get into all my backstory, but I am no saint. I'm no saint. Listen, everybody has a story. You've taken us from absolute confusion to clarity to Christ-centered acceptance and love. And I'm so grateful to have you on my platform. Where can people connect with you if they want to join this biblically speaking podcast tour you should probably be doing soon, if they want to go to Biblically Heard and join this community and either be a mentor to some young person who is looking, or older person who is looking for answers, looking for a friend to walk this life? Where can they go? How can they find you?
So bibspeak.com is my website. That's the house for everything. BIBSPEAK.com. That's my website. And that has every place you could listen to the podcast. It has my Instagram, which I'm the most active on. So if you just want to DM me, you absolutely can. If you want mentorship, I'd love to give that to you. If you're the Cassian from 7 years ago and you want me to just speak into you, I'd love to. I have like guides that simplify some of the conversations I've had with some scholars, like how to understand the reliability of the New Testament and like 10 easy steps. You can buy merch that is not good. I would not like I designed it so long ago and I'm like, I need a designer because I'm like, what are we doing on Canva? But yeah, I would say follow me on Instagram. I would say go to the website, listen to the podcast. You can listen on YouTube if you want. Comment. I read all the comments. There is no team. I've got me and my assistant and then a guy in the UK that does my email. That's it. So maybe subscribe to my newsletter, donate if you want to just like pledge $1 a month. That truly adds up because this is not free. Those are like, if you love me, I would donate, but at least, test me out. Listen to an episode. I would recommend an episode with Dr. Robert Carter. I would say like he's probably the most fun. He's a scientist. We talk about how the timeline of global history fits within the Bible. That's a fun one to start with. And we have 20-minute versions and 1-hour versions. So that's what I would recommend. Spotify, Apple, YouTube, everywhere. I'm everywhere.
I love that. Cassian, thank you so much for your time today. Beautiful people, you know how we close this show. I want you to leave making sure that you are an empowered person, using your power to empower others. Till next time, people. Peace.
All right, before we wrap up today, I want to remind you, if the book is on your heart, then this Sunday is your chance to finally take that first step. Join me for a live writing masterclass, and we'll break down the book writing process and get you moving forward from idea to execution. So head over to jorioneale.com/your_story_matters. Thanks for tuning in to 30 Minutes of Power. We hope today's episode inspired you to take action and make a positive change in your life. Remember, your power is meant to empower others. So share this episode with someone who needs encouragement today. We'd love to hear from you. So connect with us on Instagram at 30 Minutes of Power or email us at azironsharpensiron@gmail.com. Until next time, stay empowered and keep empowering others.
30 minutes of power.